You hold a photograph of a toddler sitting in a high chair with cake smeared across a tiny, unrecognizable face. You recognize the wallpaper in the background. You know the exact date because it is written on the back in fading blue ink. Why does the person in that picture feel like a complete stranger? The real answer is far stranger than the simple idea that your brain was just too small to hold the data. This is the biological mystery of why you can't remember being a baby. A phenomenon where your own mind, systematically, erases your origin story to make room for your future. You can recall your 5th birthday party. You remember the smell of the candles. You remember the specific weight of a gift in your hands. But try to look back just 2 years earlier and your mental film simply cuts to black. Is the footage lost, or was it never recorded in the first place? The term for this blank space is infantile amnesia. Sigmund Freud coined the phrase in 1899 to describe the gap in your earliest memories. Freud believed you repressed these moments because they were filled with traumatic or socially unacceptable desires. Modern science has discarded that theory. It turns out your brain isn't hiding your childhood from you. It is busy rewriting the very hardware required to store it. Your brain is a massive construction site during your first 3 years. You are born with most of the neurons you will ever have, but the connections between them are sparse. Think of your brain at birth as a city with thousands of houses but no roads connecting them. You spend your infancy frantically paving streets. Do you realize that by age 2, your brain has twice as many synapses, or connections between brain cells, as an adult brain? This period of rapid growth is called synaptogenesis. This is the process where your brain creates a massive web of electrical pathways. It is an era of trial and error. Your brain overshoots the mark, building every possible connection it might need. Later, it will go back and prune the ones you don't use. Is it possible to keep a memory when the physical wires holding that memory are being cut and rearranged every single day? You might assume a baby's brain is just a blank slate that isn't capable of learning. That is objectively false. You learned how to walk, how to eat with a spoon, and how to recognize the specific frequency of your mother's voice. These are procedural memories. This is the how-to manual stored in your cerebellum and basal ganglia. You still have these memories today. They are the reason you don't have to relearn how to swallow or move your legs every morning. Why is it only the who, what, and where that vanishes? The missing pieces are your episodic memories. These are the snapshots of your life. They require a specific part of the brain called the hippocampus. Imagine the hippocampus as your brain's chief librarian. Every time you experience something new, the librarian takes the details and files them away in the cortex. But in a baby, the librarian is still in training. Researchers Gabrielle Simcock and Harlene Hain at the University of Otago wanted to see if toddlers could keep these files. They built a device called the Magic Shrinking Machine. It was a colorful box where a child could put a large toy in the top and see a miniature version come out the bottom. Children aged 2 and 3 played with this machine and showed clear delight. They understood the cause and effect. They were clearly making memories of the event. The researchers returned to these children a year later. They asked the children to describe what had happened with the machine. A strange pattern emerged. The children could only remember the parts of the event for which they had words at the time of the original experience. If a child didn't know the word shrink when they were 2, they couldn't use that concept to recall the memory when they were 3. Does your memory depend entirely on the vocabulary you have available to describe it? This brings you to the social cultural theory developed by psychologist Catherine Nelson. She argued that you don't just remember things, you learn how to remember them through storytelling. Your parents likely sat with you and said things like, "Remember when we went to the zoo and you saw the big elephant?" This interaction is a form of scaffolding. It teaches your brain how to structure a narrative. Without this linguistic structure, your early experiences are like loose beads without a string. They simply roll away. However, language isn't the whole story. You can find the same amnesia in rat pups and baby monkeys. They don't use language, yet they also lose their earliest memories as they reach maturity. This suggests a deeper, more biological mechanism is at play. Your brain might be deleting your past to ensure your survival. Paul Franklin and Sheena Jocelyn, researchers at the Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto, looked at a process called neurogenesis. This is the birth of new neurons in the hippocampus. While you continue to grow new brain cells throughout your life, the rate of growth in an infant is astronomical. You are essentially a factory for new neurons. This sounds like a good thing for memory, doesn't it? The reality is counterintuitive. Imagine a filing cabinet where you store your important papers. Now imagine that every hour, someone shoves 100 new files into the cabinet and expands the drawers. The old papers get pushed to the back, crushed, or lost in the shuffle. Franklin's research suggests that the high rate of neurogenesis in your infancy actually disrupts the existing circuits. The new cells act like noise that drowns out the old signal. They tested this by slowing down the birth of new neurons in young mice. When the growth slowed, the mice actually remembered things for longer. Conversely, when they sped up neurogenesis in adult mice, the adults started to forget things just like babies do. This implies that your childhood is being paved over by your adulthood. Your brain is prioritizing the ability to learn new things over the ability to keep old ones. Is your identity a fair trade for your intelligence? Think of your hippocampus as a forest. In a baby, the trees are growing so fast and thick that the trails you walked yesterday are covered by new brush by tomorrow morning. By the time you are 7 or 8 years old, the growth slows down. The trails become permanent. This is why most of your continuous memories start around the age of 4 or 5. The forest has finally settled. This leads to a strange paradox of your existence. The most formative years of your life, the years where you learned how the world works and who you can trust, are the years you cannot consciously recall. You are built on a foundation of ghosts. You carry the lessons of your infancy in your personality and your fears, even if you can't see the events that created them. How much of your current behavior is a response to a story you can't read? Consider the concept of attachment style. If you were held and comforted as a baby, your brain developed a sense of security. If you were neglected, your brain developed a sense of hypervigilance. You don't remember the specific afternoons spent in a crib or a pair of arms. But your amygdala, the almond-shaped part of your brain that processes emotion, remembers perfectly. It has been tuned by those experiences. Your brain is not a video recorder. It is an adaptive machine designed to help you navigate the present. Keeping a detailed record of what you ate for breakfast when you were 18 months old offers no survival advantage. Your brain decided that the energy required to maintain those early files was better spent on learning how to navigate social hierarchies or solve complex problems. You are a masterpiece built on top of a sketched-over canvas. There's also the physical constraint of your skull. Your brain undergoes a massive pruning phase as you enter childhood. Synaptic pruning is the process where your brain deletes the connections it deems unnecessary. It is a use it or lose it system. If you didn't need a specific memory of a specific toy to survive into your school years, your brain recycled that energy. You are the result of a billion tiny deletions. Does this mean your early childhood is gone forever? Not entirely. Some researchers believe the memories are still there, but the index is missing. You have the data, but you no longer have the software required to open the file. This is why a specific smell or a certain song can sometimes trigger a powerful, wordless feeling of nostalgia. You aren't remembering a fact. You are experiencing a resonance of an old circuit. You live in a modern world where this biological amnesia is being challenged by technology. You have thousands of photos and videos of your own infancy stored on a cloud server. You can watch yourself take your first steps from 3 different angles. Does this digital record replace your internal one? Or does it create a false sense of memory, where you think you remember the event, but you actually only remember the video? Psychologists call this the photo-taking impairment effect. When you rely on a camera to capture a moment, your brain often fails to encode the details deeply. You outsource your memory to your phone. For the first time in human history, you have a perfect record of the years your brain was designed to forget. You are now the first generation that can look at your own childhood through a stranger's eyes. This gap in your history is a necessary part of your development. If you remembered the chaos and sensory overload of being an infant, your adult mind might be too cluttered to function. Your brain clears the brush so you can see the path ahead. It is a brutal but efficient system of biological renewal. Why would you want to carry the weight of a version of yourself that no longer exists? The person in that cake-smeared photo is the ghost that haunts your biology. You are the direct result of their experiences, even if you can never sit down and have a conversation with them. Your brain is a ship that replaces every plank while it is still at sea. By the time you reach the other side, not a single piece of the original wood remains. Are you still the same ship? You can spend a lifetime trying to look back across that gap, but the wall remains. It is a physical boundary made of new neurons and pruned synapses. It is the price you paid for the complexity of your adult mind. You traded your earliest snapshots for the ability to process the world in high definition. Was it a good deal? You are a biological archive with a locked vault at the beginning. You can see the vault, you can touch the door, but the key was melted down to build the rest of the building. Your life began with a series of miracles that your brain deemed too unimportant to keep. You are the only creature on Earth that can wonder why it can't remember being itself. The toddler in the photo is long gone, paved over by the person you are today. You are a walking set of habits and reflexes built on a foundation of forgotten moments. Your brain didn't fail you by forgetting. It saved you by clearing the way. Perhaps the most important parts of your story are the ones you don't need to remember because you are currently living them out. If you could remember everything, would you still have room to become someone new?